Welcome back to part 2 of the Streets of Rage 3 tutorial for normal with Zan. And yeah, the reason I split this up into 2 parts was because as I approach an hour or go over an hour of recording, the AverMedia LGP device has a high chance of losing the entire recording or losing parts of it. So that's why I split it up. But this was done in a single sitting. So yeah, so now this level gets tough. This is a tough level because you have a lot of hard guys, and there's a lot of them at once, in pretty small areas. Or maybe the area just feels small because there's so many of these fucking guys, one or the other. You're also going to see some secrets here, like breaking this wall instead of going through the door. I think that's an alternate passage. And see, you get all this good shit. You get 1-ups and points which can lead to 1-ups. So you want to, I would say, take the route that you see me take. Just stand by the wall at the end of the level, or I think if you stand by the wall, you'll just go through the wall. So just do that. You'll see some of them I go through the door, some of them I go through the wall, I think. So just follow that path, and you'll get some extra shit. Yeah, for these guys, this is all you have to do. You could just keep doing that back punch move. For that, I go through the door. And there's a reason why I take these paths. See, there's another one up here. So, yeah, like I said, follow the path that I take so you can get all the 1-ups and the points and shit. And I think Anthropants is the one who told me about that extra 1-up in the wall. I didn't know about that. I believe he was the one who told me about that. So, great advice, because any extra lives is really useful. So... But yeah, once you get one of these guys alone, or if you can group them together to where they're both in the same area and knock them both down at the same time, you can just stand with your back facing them and just constantly back attack them, and they'll never get out of it. It does take a little while, and you will see me exploit it, but it's worth doing. I mean, why take damage when you don't have to? I'm all about just doing whatever the fuck is effective, you know what I mean? That's all I really care about. So yeah, it's also good, of course, to throw these guys into each other and keep them all on one side of the screen. That's what I'm doing there. Then I group them together with that dash move. But I guess by that time they're already dead. But you'll see eventually there'll be like maybe one left, and then I'll exploit that back attack heavily. And you can use that at any time to knock them back. It's good because they block everything else. You don't always know if your hits are going to get through. But if you do that back attack, it's like for some reason it seems like they never block that. So keep that in mind. If you need to get a hit in on them, you need to knock them away. Use that back attack with Zan. I'm assuming the back attack with any character would probably work, but I'm just familiar with using Zan mainly. I did try the other characters, but I ended up using. I did multiple attempts with multiple characters, but yeah. So anyway, yeah, just keep doing this shit and. You don't have to worry about these guys ever hitting you. It's like you don't have to do that. I was getting a little bored with that, but yeah, you can do that. I was trying to make it so it wasn't too boring. I mean, I know it's not the most exciting thing, so I added a few little faster attacks to drain his health faster with that. Even though it wastes a little bit of my health, I just kind of wanted to get it over with. I don't want to sit there for an hour doing that, but you get the idea. If you need to, just do that. If you don't want to risk it, it's always better to play safe when you're trying to beat a game the first time. Why make it hard on yourself anyway? I mean, I definitely don't like to do that. If I want to get good at a game, I'll just play it again and again until I master it. But I just wanted to beat this one. I think the reason I stay in this left corner mostly is because I didn't want to spawn more enemies. So I was just trying to deal with these assholes. I also didn't really want the fat guy to rush in, but I guess he did anyway. I think I was trying to avoid him because he can charge into you and fuck you up, so they are dangerous. But the game is mainly just trying to overwhelm you with sheer numbers of enemies at once. That's the main thing going on here. And as you get good with the crowd control, it won't be too much of a problem. You'll be pretty much used to that by this point in the game. These guys are not any harder than, they're actually easier enemies compared to the whip bitches and the ninjas, so they're not going to cause too much of a problem. The knife guys are annoying. As simple as they are, I find them annoying because, sometimes my hit doesn't go through and I get knifed by them. I get charged by them, and it is annoying. So you got to be careful with those guys. Now notice I don't even pick up the knives to throw them because I don't like having a throwing move because I believe whenever you pick up an item with this guy, he has to throw it. He can't use the weapons. And of course the knife, I don't even know if you can stab with the knife. I think you have to throw the knife. I don't even remember, honestly, in this game. But with Zan, you have to throw every weapon. So what that means is that I can't do one of my main moves. I can't do that electric arm move, I think, because if Zan has a weapon, he won't do the electric arm move. So it pretty much gimps me. It doesn't allow me to do the main move that I like to use for crowd control. So I hate picking up weapons in this with Zan. I always do it on accident, but it's usually never on purpose. Similar to Double Dragon in my 1 credit playthrough, usually when I pick up a weapon, it's an accident because I want to use the elbow in that game. As that, that exploits the entire game, obviously, But yeah, Zan is a great character. He's well balanced. He's not, like I said, he's not the fastest character, but he does have some great moves for crowd control, and he can do a lot of damage to rows of enemies with that electric arm. So I would definitely recommend, using Zan for your first playthrough to beat the game, as Anthropants recommended to me, and and also looking up all the moves on GameFAQs before you start. That way you'll be well prepared to start learning the game. And then just use save and load states to practice the bosses mainly, Or just to practice your way through the game. If you can't beat the game, if you can't get far in the game solo, then maybe practice. Just make save states and practice your way through the levels. Save and load and just practice. Get familiar with parts. And it all pays off. All that little practice you do that you don't think is helping that much, you'll be surprised how far you get when you play it again. It makes a huge difference. That's how I beat games, is by doing that kind of practice. And the more thorough you do it, the more it'll benefit you. But even if you just do it a little bit here and there on some parts that are a little bit tricky, it'll go a long fucking way. Because those would be times when you'd have to restart the entire game, right? Because if you were losing 5 lives on a boss, you might end up having to restart the entire game. So, just getting better to where you only die twice on a boss is a lot better than dying 5 times. It may not be great, but it's little improvements like that will get you better and better. So every little bit of practice helps, and you remember more of it than you think you will. You don't think you're going to retain it that well. You think you'll probably forget, or it won't help that much, but no, it really does. You'll be surprised if you start doing it. And I'm going to go into more detail about practice techniques. I did outline it pretty well in the Jim Power video I made, but I want to make a video of me actually practicing through a hard game that I've never beaten before. So it'll be new for me, and I'll be able to explain what I'm doing. Because if I play through, I'm not going to be able to do a practice run on a game I'm familiar with. I don't really have to practice that much to beat a game that I've already beaten. So it's kind of useless. Yeah, so for here, you're going to have a lot of fucking enemies, and this actually, I think, is a pretty small space. I mean, I don't think you have the same up and down movement that you normally would. I mean, it's wide, but it's kind of narrow. At least it feels that way. But yeah, so there's going to be a lot of enemies in here, though, so your crowd control skill is going to be tested in this room. Yeah, and the knife guys, I think it's worth using the electric arm immediately to get them the fuck out of there, because they do a lot of damage, and they're very, annoying how they rush in you. It's it's a big nuisance when you're trying to fight other guys. You don't really want to deal with that shit. So I like to get them out of there. And the whip, the whip bitches, I get them out of there immediately, because they're a huge problem. When I see them, I just want to kill them immediately, because they're going to cause a big problem. They're the most annoying enemies in the game to me, so I consider them a high priority when I see them. Especially when you got like 3 of them in the same fucking room, or 4 of them. It's like, you can get the fuck out. So here I do get rid of these stupid weapons. I don't think I wanted those weapons, but I think I picked them up because if I didn't pick them up on purpose, I would have picked them up accidentally when I was trying to fight. So that's why I just picked them up, just so I could get rid of them. Just wanted to get that shit out of there. That was all that really was. But yeah, try to keep everybody on one side of the screen, the general strategy that you usually see me doing. And see how you see the kind of range they have and the damage they do. They're dangerous, so I lost a life there. Still haven't lost my first continue yet, though, so I'm still in good shape. I'm not sure when I lose my first continue. I think it's pretty much later in the game, but so I got pretty far on this first continue. But there's plenty of parts later on where I'll lose lives, I'm sure. I'm thinking of doing Hagane soon as my next commentary. And let me know if there's any games on my list that you see, any playthroughs that I did that you'd like to see a commentary for. But I'm probably going to go through and do some of them anyway, just for fun. You know, I'll just bang a few of them out. Even the games that are not that hard, I may do some commentary. But I'm probably mainly moving forward going to be focusing on doing commentary for new playthroughs that I'm doing now. You know, because I just got the ability to do commentary. I got a mic and. So now I'm starting to do it, but I'm going to be focusing more on doing new playthroughs. But some of the harder ones, I think I definitely should do commentary for. I think it'd be interesting to have a little explanation of some of the techniques. Hagane has some tricky stuff for Super Nintendo. That does have some trick. It's not too hard, but the last few levels can be tough, and the last level especially can be pretty tough because the last boss is tough. But I have some tricks up my sleeves for that game that I can explain. I mean, if you watch the video, you probably figured out what I'm doing anyway, but why not? Why not break it down a little bit? I think it makes it a little bit more entertaining to watch, at least. And it was a lot of fun. It was a fun game to do a playthrough of and beat. So yeah, this, you only really got to fight, I think, 2 enemies at a time. They come in groups of 2. And, you know, these are going to be all standard enemies you've dealt with 100 times before by this point. So, not much to say here. I don't think I got good at this boss guy either, so I may not be able to provide much great advice for him either, you know. Because remember, I only got pretty much as good as I needed to beat the game, and that was about it. I didn't go too far beyond that. For Jim Power, I ended up going a little bit beyond practice-wise for what I needed to do to beat the game, but I also, there's parts where I didn't practice them well at all, and it shows in my playthrough. Even though I, beat it on 1 credit, it really shows the parts that I didn't practice enough. Because I got annihilated on some of the parts. But yeah, you're not going to have to be that thorough with this game. This is not an extreme. It's really not an extreme game. But you do want you are going to have to get good at crowd control, and you do want to be competent at the bosses. Because that's where you can really lose a lot of lives on bosses. You got to get decent at them. You don't have to be a master at all the bosses, but you don't want to be losing a lot of lives. Most of them, I think you shouldn't be losing a life on most of the bosses. You can lose maybe 2 lives on those 3 ninjas, because that's like the hardest boss in the game. It's not a big deal if you lose a few lives on that. Maybe lose 1 life on the 2 women, I think that's acceptable. I lost a life on that. So you don't have to be, you don't have to be perfect at the bosses, but you got to be decent. Because like I said, you get some 1-ups, you earn 1-ups on points as well, and you can find some in the game. And actually, I found quite a few of them. I think I also get a 1-up. I should have pointed it out in the tutorial, but I think if you rewatch the part 1 and you see on maybe the 2nd level, you'll see in the beginning I go in the corner and crouch down. There's a hidden 1-up that Anthropans told me about. I think it's in level 2. So don't forget about that one as well. Look for that. I forgot to mention it because I didn't remember about that, but I just remembered it now. Yeah, so now for this part, I guess I just abuse that. I mean, there's not much to say there, right? I mean, I kind of just wait for him to come to me and I use that electric arm. Pretty much just spamming my special attack. Not much skill involved here, but I guess it was effective enough for this guy. The missiles are hard because they just keep coming for a while. I think they're kind of tricky, but luckily it's not like Double Dragon where if you get shot with the machine gun, you lose a life instantly or something like that. I think is the case in the original Double Dragon. I haven't gotten shot by him in a while because I try to avoid getting shot by a fucking machine gun. It's not really something I want to do when I'm playing a game. But I highly recommend playing Double Dragon Advance for the Game Boy Advance. I still think it's the best beat 'em up I've ever played. It's fucking amazing. Tons of moves. It's a nice length. I highly recommend that if you're looking for. And at first I didn't really like this game that much. I thought it was kind of repetitive, a little bit boring. I wasn't getting into it. I thought it was a lot worse than the other Streets of Rage games. But, as I got over the difficulty and started to get a feel for it, I started to really like it. So if you're, not convinced with this game and you maybe think it's not, not great, I would say it does, it does have the potential to grow on you after a while. As you get better with it and you get more, you get more satisfaction out of it. I still think there's a little bit too much combat in the game with the enemies. I feel like you fight them for too long. And I think it would have been better with a more balanced difficulty. I think it would have been more enjoyable at least. But I also kind of like that it was as hard as it was because it was a satisfying game to beat. So I do love a challenge. So I can't really hate on the game for that. But I still think some of it is a bit repetitive. I don't think it just. I didn't, for whatever reason, it wasn't as fun to me as some of the other Streets of Rage games. But like Streets of Rage 2 feels more enjoyable to me. The layout, I don't know. It's hard for me to say exactly why I feel that way. So yeah, this one is kind of like a timed mission. Somewhat, you see that little clock down there, and it can be kind of annoying because if you don't go like in the right doors, you waste time. So I'm thinking that I pretty much. I don't always go in the right doors, but see, that's the correct door. So I guess if you follow what I'm doing, you may be taking the correct path. I'm not sure if the rooms change randomly every time you play. See, I don't remember exactly, but you do have to do it within a certain amount of time. And the fastest way I find to take care of these groups of enemies is, like usual, get them all in the same corner and just beat the shit out of them. Use your special, and pretty basic by this point in the game. And you have to destroy all those machines. That's required. And then pretty much you have to kill these guys to advance again so you can go back to the elevator and, go to the next area. Which we'll see if I took the right path, because there's times when I would get far, but I would fuck up this level and take the wrong path. And then worst case scenario usually is you'll just lose a life by running out of time. Usually only lose one life, but why waste an entire life, for running out of time? It's not worth doing. If you could avoid it, you want all the lives you can get, so don't fuck around, you know what I mean? Try not to fuck it up. But of course you're never trying to fuck up, Nobody ever wants to fuck up when they're playing a game, but you got to pay a little bit of attention to this part and try to take the right path at least. But yeah, I don't think I really ever understood this level that well, to be honest with you. I don't think I had a really good grasp on it. I was able to do it, I got good enough at it to where it wasn't a big problem, so. As long as you can manage it and just beat the game, at that point it's good enough. If you want to master the game, you can always go back to it. I wouldn't mind trying the Mania difficulty. They have harder settings. I think the Mania is an unlockable difficulty after hard. Like, I think you might even need a code to access it. Most cheat codes make games easier, but in these games, they have codes for harder difficulties, which is kind of unique. Kind of a funny thing, but, putting in a code to make the game harder. I wouldn't exactly call that cheating if you put in a code to make a game harder, but some people may actually consider that like a cheat code, like you're cheating or something. I've heard bizarre theories about shit like that. People come up with a lot of weird shit, but yeah. Mania seems pretty insane from what I've heard. I haven't tried the harder settings too much. I don't know if I didn't try Mania, but I'm assuming it's very hard. But that guy Anthropants, he's fucking great at these games. He does them with no death on Mania, I think, with all the characters. Very cool, like I said. Definitely check it out. So yeah, after you rescue this tuxedo asshole, then you'll be on the boss. I would say, yeah, I guess I did do the path right that time, so just try to follow the rooms I went in, all that bullshit. And I guess that'll give you a good chance. Like I said, it may be random. Maybe a little random, I'm not sure. I think it's usually pretty much the same shit every time, but I do not remember exactly. Now for this part, you got all these black assholes. I think they endlessly respawn, so don't worry about the guys in black. The only one you have to kill is the purple guy, so just focus all your attacks. Try to only attack the purple guy if you can. I was trying to get rid of them because they do get in the way, so, sometimes I try to get them off my back. But, if you're really good at avoiding them, you can just focus on the one guy, and you'll be fine. Actually, my boss domination series, where I post dominations of bosses where I really beat the shit out of them well, I have I have a video with this boss where I think I didn't get hit at all because I got him in a loop where he couldn't get out of, and I just beat the shit out of him, and all his enemies rushed into my fists and kept getting punched as well, so I just punched the shit out of him while he's in the air. That was really cool. I think that might have been with Shiva, though, or one of the, the boss characters can pull bullshit. So it's not really as legit as playing the game. So yeah, here I waste my first continue, but at this point, we're only 18 minutes away from beating the game, or maybe less, because that's probably counting the ending too. But yeah, we're very, we're far in the game, so losing a continue here is not bad. Because now I have another 4 lives or whatever, but the first continue is not bad. But yeah, this fight did not go well on this playthrough, I can tell. So see, even if you do fuck up here and there, you can still get through the game. But you just want to get competent enough, because I'd say it's a very hard beat 'em up. But yeah, like 1 and 2, very moderate, even kind of easy games to just beat on normal, or maybe moderate. I don't know if I'd say easy. Easy is maybe being a little bit overly, I don't know, but I would say maybe they're like moderate games, but they're not hard. You can, if you're decent at beat 'em ups, you can beat 1 and 2 after a few tries, maybe a few full attempts, maybe within 3 full attempts, and maybe even 1 or 2, depending how good you are. But yeah, they're not hard games to beat on one player. I beat the second one, I think, and the first one when I was young, and I wasn't that good at games back then. So yeah, not hard. Now, this level can be tough because, you got all these ninjas and the motorcycle guys. But the part that's kind of always gave me trouble was when you go inside the building and you have to deal with all these robot guys and guys with guns, and that can be annoying. Because you're also on conveyor belts the whole time, and the guys are always running away from you, so you got to keep chasing them down, you get in a hit here and there, and then you go flying, you get knocked back. So, yeah, this level's a little tricky. I guess it's one of the harder levels, as far as the level itself goes. The boss, I don't know if the boss is anything special. I don't remember. I don't even remember if this is the last level or not, honestly. It's been a few months, so you'll have to bear with me on I'm kind of just watching the video, and it's spurring memories in me again because I haven't played in a while. So I'm trying to remember as I go. I probably should have watched the video first, but I figured this would be... I think it's good enough. I mean, I'm getting the information out that I think will help people, who are trying to beat the game. Moving forward, though, I'm not going to be doing commentary on games that I beat a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like, this was only a few months, but I'm going to be doing commentary on games that I just freshly beat. You know what I mean? I'll probably be doing it within a few days of beating a game. But that's just because I just got the mic, so now I'm trying to catch up a little bit, and I'm redoing. I'm going back to some of the old videos and trying to add commentary. I mean, like my Jim Power video, I thought it was like something like 2 years since I beat Jim Power. It was actually like 3.5 fucking years. So I went back to the Jim Power video 3.5 years later and added commentary. So I think it came out pretty decent, considering it's been 3.5 years since I played the game, But like I said, that's not going to be something that's going to happen much more. It's just now that I'm trying to catch up. But my future playthroughs should be fresh in my mind. So I should be able to give some better tutorials. So yeah, they're not going to be as good as they could be on these games, but I think it's better than nothing, And I don't think it's really worth watching the whole video first and rehearsing it and all this shit. I think it's going to be good enough. I mean, these videos are also pretty self-explanatory on a lot of these games. I mean, you can kind of figure out a lot of what I'm doing. It's not too hard, but I do like breaking shit down. I think it's great to share information about this guy. I like I've gained so much on YouTube over the years watching playthroughs, and it's helped me to beat so many games as well, with parts that I was having trouble with. I found great tactics and strategies. And and what a lot of people don't realize, is that even the top players, they share strategies in a community to get the best. You know what I mean? They're not just the best players. For example, when I made it to World Rank 19 in Ninja Gaiden Black for the original Xbox. I spent over 600 hours on that one game. That also included running time, like leaving it running and stuff. So it wasn't all playtime, 600 hours, but it was hundreds of hours. So when I played that, I went on a forum, a Ninja Gaiden Black forum called Iberian Warrior or something forums, or Iberian forum, something like that. And it was a Ninja Gaiden forum, dedicated to, and most of the, the top players, the best players in the world, like number one and such, would be on that forum. And they learned, they were constantly refining techniques and learning off of each other and then perfecting techniques off of each other, right? So these guys weren't just coming up with their own shit and just being the best players in the world. You know what I mean? A lot of people think that it's a solo kind of thing, and and I think in most cases it's not. You know what I mean? So those that say that there's something, bad about going online to learn new tactics or whatever, I mean, the top players in the world are doing it. So, if you're going to say it makes a bad player, I don't know if I would agree with that. You know what I mean? Because the best players are doing it. So that's why I say, I think it's great that we can share information like this now, learn and improve, get better. We can constantly improve our game and become better players. And I try to learn from others as well, I never think that I have all the answers. And I'm glad that if I can contribute things that I've learned, which it's not all shit that I figured out myself, you know what I mean? But whatever it is that I put together with whatever information or tools that I had, I like to be able to present that and offer something from that. I think it's great to be able to do that. But yeah, I never take full credit for anything because there's a lot of things that go into a lot of this. And if I didn't have the tools that we now have available, I would have to go about it in a different way, and I may not even, some of the games that I beat, I may have not even beaten in the way that I did, because I wouldn't, without that information, things could have been different. So, yeah, I say that I don't consider it a weakness to like get information online and watch videos and shit like that. If a game is truly hard, trust me, watching a video is not gonna beat the game for you. And I learned that with some super hard games like, God of War 2 on Titan was disgustingly hard for me. And I watched tons of videos on it. And, it still doesn't take the sting away from fighting a boss for 15 minutes and dying in one hit, like the Thesis boss. So, and like I said, I've done some pretty brutal challenges that I've completed. Like the Ninja Gaiden Black was probably the most disgusting thing I've ever done in gaming. But, and I love doing that kind of shit. And I've played through, over 1,000 console games and console-style type of games, arcade console-style games. And, I'm still getting better and learning to adapt faster, and to me, there's nothing wrong with looking up, guides or whatever. Now, if the whole game is like a puzzle game, like Portal or Portal 2, I think it kind of ruins the game to look up every fucking puzzle. I mean, at that point, it's just like a walkthrough, because there's not much skill involved in Portal except for figuring out the puzzles. That is the skill. So, for certain games, I do think it kind of takes away the fun of the game, but I mean, I still consider if I were to watch a guide and beat the whole thing with a guide, I'd still write it down that I beat the game because I played through it and beat it. But I think you're kind of shortchanging yourself on the fun you could be having with a game like that, because that game was so fun to figure out, and I really enjoyed it. And I may have used the guide, I think maybe only 2 or 3 times in Portal 2 or something, but I really tried not to use it. I wanted to really figure out shit for myself because it was such a good game, and I love that game. Portal 2 is amazing, man. It's really fun. Catherine was another amazing puzzle game. Amazing game. I mean, it's hard to learn at first, but give it a chance, man. Try Catherine, just give it a chance. And it's so satisfying once you start beating levels. I had a lot of trouble with it initially. I had to beat it on easy. Is the level I couldn't even I couldn't do much on normal initially. But I would like to go back. They're going to do a remaster of it, and maybe I'll revisit it on the remaster and make videos and try to do normal next. I'm not going to go straight to hard. I like to do it in steps. I do have a weird habit of going from normal to the extreme setting. So, like when I play a new game, I may do. Actually, most new games now I start on the hard mode, even sometimes the hardest mode, because the extreme modes are not that hard anymore in these new games. Most of them, anyway. There are a few exceptions. But what I used to do is play a game through on normal, and then I'd go to the hardest mode right away, and then I would just deal with it. I would just grind through it until I learned it and beat it. I don't like to necessarily do 4 or 5 playthroughs to get to the hardest mode. I usually will do it by the second playthrough. But anyway, the reason I wasn't saying much on this level because, I think we get the general idea by now. I've explained most. You don't want those guys to explode on you, so when they're about to die, get away from them. But you'll learn that after the first explosion. I don't really need to tell you that. And that area is one of the harder parts because of all those fucking conveyor belts and those assholes with the guns, because they will keep trying to shoot you. So try to take those guys out first, and, you know, try to get your hits in on the robots and throw them when you can, because that does the most damage. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, you're going to just have to get used to the conveyor belts and dodging some of the obstacles. You know, and that's just going to be a little bit of practice to get it down. But it's not that bad. It's more of an annoying and tedious area. I mean, I don't really like it, but it's not super hard or anything, but it is annoying. So, but yeah, I am going to be rambling about other shit sometimes in these videos when I don't have anything to really say regarding the game. I may add in some other stuff. Gives me a chance to talk about some other of my history with playing games, and maybe games that I recommend that I think people would enjoy, you know, which there's too many to list, but those games just kind of popped into my head. I was talking about puzzle games for some fucking reason, so I just decided to throw that in. But yeah, so let's see what's coming up next. I don't even remember. I think this is actually the last boss, I think. I guess the ending is really fucking long, like 7 minutes long or something, 6 minutes long. I guess that's not that long. But yeah, so this is the end. So for this, you pretty much just keep walking, and, you know, you stop and you jump and just do that attack. That jumping attack, you know, does good damage to him. You want to make sure you have enough walking room, which if you practice, you'll know. And you want to walk slow sometimes, because if you get to the end of the screen and then try to walk back, that's when it'll get you sometimes. See, like that was dangerous. So you want to try to avoid that. You want to try to keep it more in the middle, so try to give yourself a lot of room. Like, see, I'm all the way here. I got that whole screen to walk now, and because it's based on a certain amount of time before it comes down again. So just, you know, adapt to that. You'll know how it works. It's not hard. It's just you just have to know what to do. But it's very easy. Sometimes the thing is hard to hit. Like, if you do the wrong jumping attack on it, like if you try to do the wrong attack, you won't really be able to hit it. But if you do what I'm doing here, I think that's jump and then down and punch, if I remember right. I don't think that's the regular jumping attack. I think it might be like jump, down, and punch. That's why I say knowing the moves is important in this game. But yeah, just make sure you're doing the move that you see. Make sure it looks like that. If you're not doing that move, then you're not doing it the way that I played it, at least. Maybe there's a better method, but, you know, if you're trying to follow what I'm doing, make sure you're doing that exact move, because the regular jump attack does not work well. And I like to stay all the way on this bottom, as you see, because I find it just easier to hit him than trying to move in you know, being lined up perfectly up or down is hard to do. So yeah, that's pretty much that. I mean, that I don't think I got hit on that. That's all you really need to do. That's an easy way to do it. Now, this guy can be very hard. This is why it's good to have some lives left. But there is a way to exploit him and get him in a cycle that he cannot get out of with jump kicks, I think. I think you'll see me do a little bit of that on him, if I remember right. But he does break out. Like, see, if you keep doing a jump attack, see, like that, if you're good at that, you can just keep doing that until he dies. And he won't be able to recover. See, you can do that to the end of the fight. And that's what I was trying to do. But I failed miserably. But that was what I wanted to fucking do. Because you only have a certain amount of time, and I think I probably ran out of time fighting him. But I did have a lot of lives left, so I was good as far as my lives go. But it does very small fucking damage. I mean, as you see, almost no damage. But you just do it for a long time, and you'll make your life a lot easier on this boss. Because if you don't do that, he can be hard to predict. He can be very hard to fight normally. I thought he was. I didn't practice him a shitload. I only practiced it a little bit, but I think Zan's jumping attack is harder to use on this boss. So that's one area where Zan is kind of weak, is with the final boss trying to spam the jumping attack. He's not the best for that. I think Axel has a jump kick which has, you know, a longer reach. Zan has that little shit that's super close up. It's harder to time, but it's doable. I still recommend Zan for beating the game, because he makes the game, you know, I think he makes the game a lot easier overall. Maybe not easy. I don't know. I played a lot better with Zan. I know that. I liked his crowd control techniques and his long reach. Some people may be more comfortable with one of the other characters, obviously. It could have to do with playstyle as well. So I wouldn't say Zan is definitively the best character to beat the game with your first time, but Antropants recommended him to me, and once I used him, I was doing a lot better. So I would make the same recommendation. And then after you beat it with Zan, you can try other characters. You can try the harder difficulties. There's a lot of replay if you like the game. Because after this, you can do hard, then you can do mania. There may be hard, hardest, mania. I don't remember. There's a few difficulty settings after normal, though. So you can work your way up and try to beat some of the harder shit. And if you're fucking crazy, you can do no death runs and shit on mania like Anthropants. But I imagine that took many, many hours to get down. You know, that's a lot of dedication. Very cool, though. I'm usually not that dedicated to a single game. Ninja Gaiden Black was an exception for me, but as I said, I usually only go through the hardest difficulty in a game, you know, or just beat a hard game, and then I'm usually done. I don't do a lot of, like, extra challenges and such, usually. But I'm going to start doing more shit now that I can record. It's inspired me to do a lot of crazy shit that because back then if I did it, I mean, I didn't have a recording of it, so it wasn't as exciting. Now I get to actually have a permanent recording of my accomplishment, which to me is awesome. I love it. So it makes me want to do some hard shit now. You know, harder than I normally would. It's definitely, I found it to be inspirational. Just recording, I think, is a great thing to be able to do. I wanted to do it for myself, not even because of YouTube. I wanted to record my my gameplay footage just to have for myself. But, yeah, so that's it. I did run out of time. I think I get the bad ending or whatever, but I never give a fuck about good or bad endings. In fact, I usually skip endings in games and just write them down. I just like beating games. I'm not one that really gives a shit about story in games. I used to enjoy some stories in older games like RPGs, but nowadays I find I have no patience for watching a story anymore. I couldn't be any less interested. I'm really just interested in gameplay now, so. I beat the game as Zan the Ass, as shown. But yeah, thanks for watching this, man. It's very cool to we see a few people watching it. I assume a few people got something out of it. Even if they're not trying to work on the game, they may just enjoy watching it with a little bit of commentary, getting to know the player behind the channel a little bit. But yeah, I guess I'll continue the commentary until the full ending, just so it lines up properly, because I want the audio track to line up properly. I don't really know how to sync audio tracks, so I'll let my audio recording just run the full length, even if I don't really have anything else to say further. But yeah, I guess this is the bad ending. I would have skipped all this too, but the game doesn't really let you. I could have just pressed the escape button at this point, but sometimes I leave endings and shit in because I figure there's some people like to watch that stuff. I mean, I don't like to watch it, but I figure some people like to see the end of the game. I check channels sometimes too because I'm curious about the end of a game, or I like to see what the later levels looked like. Because when I was young, I played a lot of games, but I didn't get to see very far because I couldn't get very far in a lot of games. They were fucking hard back then. Yeah, so anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and stay tuned for future playthroughs and many bizarre commentaries as well.